Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very special day because today marks 6 months, day for day, since I lost my job because my company went bankrupt. Which means today is also the day when I became my own boss 6 months ago, which is really cool, and more about that later. And today is also the day when I started this very channel 6 months ago, and there is now nearly 100 of you who choose to engage in videos and who subscribed and leave me comments from all around the world, including places like Japan and Indonesia. And I want to say I love every single one of you, even though I've never met most of you in real life, but thank you so much for supporting this channel. It has been incredible. And also I want to give a massive shout out to my audience on Instagram, because we are nearing 4,000 people. And it's insane to think that I've actually started the Instagram account to do the way in which I do it now only in January this year, and it went from like 1,000 to 4,000 nearly in 11 months. And to know that there are so many of you who like the videos and the pictures that I produce, who like to read the stories that I share, and who choose to engage and comment and you know, and send me a private message and all of this, I am so humbled, and this is not what I imagined at all. And you have all made me so extremely happy. So first and foremost, thank you so much and happy 6 months. Today is also the 17th of November, which is the end of the anti-bullying week. And I actually wasn't sure what form I wanted to share my story in, so I wrote a blog post on my Instagram on Monday, which was the first day of the anti-bullying week. And I decided that because of the response and because of how many of you chose to share your stories with me and tell me that you too were bullied, I decided to do more than that, and I decided to actually speak out for the very first time ever about what happened to me. And I don't do this for me, because if it was entirely up to me, I would probably never share what I'm about to share, because I don't like revisiting that part of my life because it still hurts. But because I've seen how many of you are hurting and how many of you went or are going through similar stories, I decided to share what I went through, and hopefully this can inspire you to stand your own ground, to know how worthy you are to live and to be here and to have whatever dreams you have and to express yourself in whatever way you choose to express yourself as a human being. I have been bullied since I was 6 years old. I changed schools 6 times. 2 of those times was because my family was moving locations, and the rest of the time was because of how badly I was bullied. When I was 14 years old, I used to have my lunch in the bathroom cubicle every single day, because that was the only place where I would be left alone. I used to look quite differently to what I look right now. I had braces, I had terrible teeth, I wore glasses, now I wear contact lenses, and I spoke with a funny accent because I moved to France when I was 12, and I lived in a tiny little village in the south of France for 3 years, and I was the only person who wasn't French. So sort of mix that up with the fact that unfortunately I also happened to have really good grades. And yeah, that was sort of the recipe for disaster. It was so bad that I got physically abused at one of my schools. And when my mom found out about it, she went absolutely livid. And I'd never set foot in that school ever again. But the bullying continued, and it continued really heavily all the way until the end of high school. And to be fair, that is one of the main reasons why I decided to leave France. Don't get me wrong, I love France and I love French culture and French food and poetry and literature. And I think France is a beautiful, wonderful country filled with artists, but it just wasn't for me, because the amount of pain that I have experienced whilst I was living there made me feel that my life was not worth anything. And I don't think that would have been a very good for any creative person, because if you feel like you don't even deserve to be alive, then you sure as hell not going to feel as though you should be producing any work, because why would anybody listen to what you have to say or look at what you want to create, since, you know, you don't even deserve to be alive? Well, for starters, obviously, I got told to go back to my own country. That was like on a daily basis. So to all the expats and immigrants and all the people who are currently not in their own country for whatever reason, whether because you chose to strive for a better future, because you wanted to make something of yourself, or simply because, I don't know, you lived in a cold fucking country and you wanted to enjoy the sun. Whatever it is, we are all humans, we all share one planet, and borders are actually imaginary things that we have created. So our entire planet is our home, okay? Just saying. So that was actually the least bad of everything that I was hearing on a daily basis and going through, and you know, from people pushing me in the corridors and I don't know, like damaging my notes and my notebooks, to stomping on my glasses, to telling me how ugly I was, to mocking me in every single way possible, from the way I dressed to my accent to just everything. I spent my life and my teenage years feeling that I didn't deserve to be here and that I wasn't worthy of being loved. And I still do on occasion. It's much less now because I have fucking fought blood and nails to not be in that place anymore, and to not let my bullies define me or define what I could or could not do. Bullying leaves scars that are often not etched on your skin and that are inside. Even though it's 2018, we still don't talk about mental health enough, and we still don't educate our kids enough, because I don't believe that kids are born evil. I believe that kids will replicate whatever behavior they see as acceptable at home, and they will bring that behavior into the school place and apply it to their peers. Parents are not involved enough in a kid's school life. And what I mean by that is, parents are obsessed with grades, and it's like, okay, so you got like an A minus. Did anybody get an A? Did anybody get an A plus? Why aren't you doing enough? Why aren't you taking enough extracurriculars? But when it comes to friends, or to, you know, what happens in friend circles, it's like, no, I let my kid have their privacy, you know, I don't get involved in that. Well, maybe you fucking should, because what if your kid is a bully? What if your kid is a reason why somebody else is contemplating taking their own life away because of what your kid is doing to them? It starts at home, and of course the educational system doesn't do nearly enough to prevent bullying from happening, and more often than not teachers will just look the other way, or even participating in the bullying themselves, because it's not just the kids. Teachers can bully you as well, especially, let's say, if you don't have good enough grades. Teachers will openly mock you in front of other students, and that's not something that I have necessarily experienced, but it is something that I saw happen to other people in my classes throughout my life, in middle school and high school especially. So bullying can actually come from both sides. The reason why I choose to speak out today is because I lived my entire life feeling that there was something wrong with me and feeling that I wasn't good enough and that I didn't deserve to be here and that I needed to change myself in order to fit in and you know, scrape for affection and try to mold myself into what people might like because they didn't like who I was as I was. So throughout a part of my life, I just tried to fit in, not very well, because I feel I have a personality that's just way too big and cannot really be fit that well into something that it is not. But I tried and didn't work. I was very depressed growing up, and I often contemplated suicide. I don't think I fully started to acknowledge the pain and the damage that was done to me until maybe a year ago, or even less. I was always the person that was okay, and I was always the person that was tough, and I was strong, and I was smiling, and that would just, you know, sort of shake it off. And I never acknowledged what the pain was doing to me until recently. I am still here, but there are people who aren't. If you look at suicide rates, suicide is the second cause of death, the second biggest cause of death in the UK, and the third biggest cause of death in the US. That should speak for itself. That's how we choose to educate our kids and how we choose to treat one another can actually save lives or can kill people. And to me, it is still a surprise that I am alive. Because when I think back, I often don't even know what kept me alive. Of course, today I look at the life that I have and I wouldn't trade it for anything. The reason why I wanted to start a YouTube channel in the first place, and why I wanted to be vulnerable with you and show all aspects of my life and my personality and what I was going through, is because I needed role models when I was a teenager who would be open and honest about what they went through and how they got through it. And I didn't have enough of those. My biggest role model, and probably one of the reasons why I'm alive today, is Monika. His music got me through my teenage years, and I have never admired anyone more than him. I have never had more love in my heart for any artist than I do for Monika, because his music pretty much saved my life. But I think that deserves a separate video. You know, there's this show called 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, and it's quite a controversial show because some people say that it glorifies suicide and it glorifies death, and other people say that actually watching this show made them feel worthy for the first time and made them feel understood for the first time. And that was my case too. I started watching, I actually read 13 Reasons Why when I was 16 years old. I read the book when it first came out, and then I watched the show. I watched the first season when it came out last year, and I cried at every single episode. And it wasn't like one or two tears. I was sobbing my eyes out. I was crying so much that I had headaches always after I would watch an episode, because I never felt more represented in my entire life, and I felt like finally somebody was giving a voice to what I was feeling my entire life. Because you know how they say that winners write history? Well, it's the same thing with bullying. Often the kids who are bullied don't have a voice. I didn't have a voice, and that show ended up giving me, and hopefully millions of other people who were victims of bullying around the world, a voice and a validation that we needed. that we are not crazy, that our pain is real, that mental illness is real, that depression as a consequence of being bullied is real. And the debate whether the show glorifies suicide or doesn't is beside the point of what I'm doing here. I felt after watching this show that I wanted to be a person for the rest of my life who helps others not feel rejected and who helps others be okay even though they're weird or they speak in a funny accent or they're overweight or they're gay or whatever else that doesn't make you the industry standard. Because I have never been the industry standard and I never felt like I belonged. I never had a big group of friends, and actually I still don't. I have like friends that are all over the world in like different groups, but I don't have one group of friends. And I wanted all of my work, everything that I do in my life, whether as a filmmaker, as a photographer, as a writer, even as a model, I wanted all of it to advocate for people who don't feel that they deserve to be here. And I am here to tell you that you do. And I may not have a big voice and I may not have a big audience, but it doesn't matter, because even if there is one person who is bullied right now and who watches this video and who feels better because they feel that they're not alone, then that's all that I'm trying to do, even if there's just one of you. People bully others because those others make them feel something in themselves that they are not comfortable with. We are all mirrors to each other. And sometimes what we reflect back does not sit comfortably with people. Hurt people hurt people. It's easy, especially in a world where violence is on the rise and extremism is on the rise from all sides, to want to have revenge, or once you're at a certain level to want to make those people who hurt you feel how you felt. But revenge and violence is never the answer. If you want to create peace, you cannot have war. The best revenge that you can ever have is to be happy and to be successful in what you do. And I know that this may sound like a complete platitude to you, especially when you're hurting and when you're struggling to just get through the day and not cry. But in the end, whatever you do to other people stays with you. I had a dream to be in the film industry ever since I was 8 years old. And I got constantly mocked for that dream. I got constantly laughed at for that dream. I remember when I was 15 years old, we had a careers fair, and at the end of it, we were in a big classroom and there was 40 people and my teacher. And every one of us had to go up in front of the entire class and say what we want to be when we grow up. My turn came and I said, I want to be in the film industry. And my teacher looks at me and she says, no, Monika, that's your dream. What are you actually going to do when you grow up? Like, what are you going to do for money? And I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to be in the film industry. And she laughed and she said, no, you're not, sorry. And obviously the entire classroom laughed, and I just sort of walked myself back to my seat in shame. And I just want to say, 8 years later, I made a film at 21 years old that ended up being selected at 23 international film festivals, including Cannes, New York, Montreal. It won 6 awards. And here I am, being my own boss, being in a film industry, making films, taking pictures, meeting the most amazing people in the most amazing city in the world, and having opportunities that those people who bullied me could never even imagine coming. And I'm not saying any of this for me, because quite frankly, I don't give a shit, because I know who I am now. But I'm saying this for all of those of you who are still at school, who are young, and who get mocked for the dreams that you have. There is nothing that you cannot do if you set your mind to it. I knew what I wanted to do since I was 8 years old, and despite the constant bullying and the constant mockery that I endured my entire life, here I am. Here I am. I'm here, and I'm happy, and I'm successful in my own right. Yes, okay, I haven't won an Oscar yet, but I'm making money out of my dream. I am supporting myself financially out of doing something that I love. And if that isn't success, I don't know what is. Do you have any idea what it's like growing up and being told that you don't even deserve to live? And then having your work, your film, your very words not only be accepted, but be celebrated around the world. To this day, I still have to pinch myself because I don't think I fully realize what this film has done, what it's accomplished, how it's changed people's life. I mean, I got to go to Montreal, to New York, to Cannes, to Sedona. I spoke on stage to audiences. People wanted to hear what I had to say, and not only they wanted to hear, they actually responded to it. I had a woman, a wonderful, wonderful woman in Sedona who threw herself in my arms crying because of the impact that the film has made on her and how it resonated with her life and the struggles that she went through. At that moment, I realized how much my life has value. And not just my life, anybody's life. Our value lies not necessarily in what we do, but in who we are. And our value can never be taken away from us. But one of the best ways that I found to realize how worthy I am of being here and of being alive is seeing how much impact my work can have in other people's lives. And for a little girl who has had to have her lunch in toilet cubicles because she was scared of eating anywhere else at her school, to being invited to America and getting a hotel room for me and my mum, who was my +1, with a personalized note from the director of the festival thanking me that I made the effort to come there and speak about my film and interact with audiences. I will. You have no idea how much it means to me and how healing it is, because when you've been bullied, you will spend the rest of your life, to one extent or another, questioning your existence and questioning whether there is something wrong with you, or whether you even have a right to be here, or whether you even should be here in the first place. And it never really goes away. It gets better, and if you're strong enough, you go through it, and then you realize that all those things were lies that insecure and sad and angry people were saying, and that those lies don't have to define who you are or what you do with your life, but they are still there and they still hurt. And I still remember every single thing that people have said to me throughout my life. Every insult, every time I got pushed by someone, every time a group of people laughed behind my back. It stays with you your entire life. And If you know someone who has been bullied, or if you have been bullied yourself, that's the only way you can truly realize the impact that this will have in someone's life. And words hurt, actions hurt, yes, but words hurt deeper because words stay with you. And the dialogue of your oppressors and of people who bully you becomes your own internal dialogue, and you become a bully to yourself because of what you constantly keep on hearing from the outside. And it's such a battle and a struggle to try and separate those voices from your own voice that tells you that you do have value and that you do deserve to be here and that you are beautiful and that you are enough. I'm doing this video and I'm sharing all of my joy and all of my successes with you because I was not happy for most of my life. I was miserable, and there are still days when I am. I'm hoping that my work and me being honest in whatever way I can throughout my life will help you, whoever you are, wherever you are, to have hope and to feel empowered. And if you are being bullied and if you are being at school, it will not last. It goes away and you become successful, and you forget that those people even existed. You may not forget what they said, and you may not forget necessarily what they did to you, but you forget their names. Sometimes you can even forget their faces. If you are being bullied, talk to someone. Please talk to your family, talk to a school counselor, talk to your teachers. There are people who want to listen, and there are people who will help you because they've been through the same thing, or because they simply have a heart and they know that bullying is heartless and shouldn't be here in the first place. But please, 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 please don't hurt yourself. Hurting yourself or thinking that you don't deserve to live is not an option, and it's not an answer. And if you do that to yourself, you let those people win. Your life can be a gift or it can be a curse. And you can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to be a survivor. You can choose to be a warrior. You can even choose to reject everything that happened to you and build your life from scratch. You don't have to be defined by being a victim. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it. I choose to talk about it because I'm hoping that will help. But you are in control of the narrative of your own life, and you have so much to offer. Even if you don't think you have any special talent, even if you don't know what you want to be doing with your life, even if you feel useless and worthless and lazy and all the things that I have felt throughout my life, even you being here has meaning. You being here and you having gone through what you have gone through already gives value to your life, because it makes you such a more deeply compassionate human. Pain makes us understand each other, and pain makes us feel closer to one another. And often pain is the reasons why we do great things, because we don't want anyone else to feel the way we did. At least that's my reason for everything that I do. I have so many dreams, and I don't know, some of them I don't even want to say them out loud because I don't want to jinx it. But I'm not doing those dreams for me, because I would be perfectly comfortable going to a desert island with my dog and just being a waitress in a bar and enjoying my life and just being left in peace. I don't need to achieve anything. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I love myself as I am. I fucking love myself. But I do all the work that I do because I know that there are other people out there who feel the way I felt when I was a teenager, and I want them to feel empowered. I want them to feel strong, and I want them to not have to go through the years and years of pain, feeling worthless, feeling abused, feeling like you don't deserve to be here. I want them to have the resources to realize that they are worthy of being here, that we are all worthy of being here, and that the pain is temporary, but that we can all be happy and we can all achieve great things with our lives, and we can all help one another. I want to leave today with a positive message, as I always try. I want to tell you that your pain is valid, that your existence is valid, that there are other people out there who feel the same way you do, and that it will pass. You have to stick through it, and it's shit, and it's awful, and I wish it wasn't happening to anyone anymore, but it is. Just don't give up, because the best things are waiting for you, and they are still to come. If I chose to take my own life away when I felt like it, when I was younger, look at all the things I wouldn't have done. I would have never fallen in love or got my heart broken. Regardless, I would have never made a film that helped people realize that they were okay being who they are. I would have never traveled to 46 different countries and counting. I would have never made the friends that I made, or ate the amazing foods that I've ate in places like Japan and Indonesia and Seychelles. I would have never had the chance to walk a red carpet, or do my first interview, or go on a cruise around Europe, or earn my own money and be able to buy my mum a Tiffany necklace with my salary, with the money that I made for her 50th birthday. If I think of the amount of things that I wouldn't have accomplished, and the love that I wouldn't have felt if I chose to take my own life away because of my bullies, it makes me so sad to think that there are people who never live to be 23 or 24 because they just don't see the point in continuing. So please let this video and this message be something that makes you want to keep going, and spread love and positivity, and be the love that you want to receive. So the camera has died whilst I was doing the last part of the video, which is why it turned into a podcast, but I didn't want to finish this video on a black screen because it's been the most personal video I've done so far. And I just wanted to tell you that you can talk to me, that I am here to listen, that your parents, your teachers, crisis resources are all here to listen, and that we all want to help in whatever way we can. And let's just be kinder to one another. Let's just have a little bit more compassion. Let's think and stop before we speak, because we may say something in a moment of anger and we forget it, but the person that we said it to will probably still remember it 20 years down the line, and it will probably still affect them. So we all choose every single day the kind of person that we are, and we all choose to either be motivated by love or by fear. Our actions, our words can either be motivated by love or by fear. So let's choose love today, and let's choose love as often as we can. I wanted to thank you for sticking with me this far. genuinely, I hope that you feel solace when you watch this video, that you feel understood, and that everything that I create, be it the pictures, the videos, the messages that I write, that it brings just a tiny bit of a smile to your face, and that it makes you happy, or that makes you feel understood in some way, because this is the main reason why I do what I do. And the other reason is for that little girl who decided to stick through it all and who's still around. I do it for her. So thank you for being with me here for 6 months now, and thank you so much for all of your support. I shall continue on creating videos and updating you on where my journey as a self-employed person takes me. But so far, so good. So lots of love, ladies and gentlemen, and see you again very soon.